What is up? What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, Selection Sunday is over. We know who's going against who in the NCAA tournament, and let's talk about it, guys, because March Madness has officially arrived. I hope y'all are excited about it. I am excited about it. We cannot go through a Selection Sunday without a little bit of drama, a little bit. Some teams are celebrating up a storm, and some teams are kind of fuming. Some teams are wondering what more they could have done, and some are thinking, what in the world were the selection committee thinking? What were they thinking? So we're going to break it all down in this stream. Hope y'all are excited about that. Good morning. Welcome to Quita in the Mornings, because my name is Quita. It's the morning, so let's get into it. Okay, so let's first start off with what's happening in the NCAA tournament. We have the number 1 overall seed, which is the UCLA Bruins. They are the number 1 overall seed. There were four number 1 seeds, but you have the number 1 overall who has the best bracket, theoretically, and that is UCLA. We have all the matchups. All 68 teams are all confirmed. As we walk through the next couple of days, we're going to dive deeper into specifics. Yeah. Let's talk about the multi-bid conferences. So the Big Ten dominated with 12 entries into the tournament. The SEC was right behind them with 10. The ACC had 8. The Big 12 had 7. The Ivy League, for the first time that I can remember, has 3. The A-10 has 2, and the Big East has 2. Okay, and as I say in my in the title of this video, people upset. And we're going to talk about why people are upset. And as I said earlier, UCLA is the number 1 overall seed. 30 wins on the season, check. Done that. 2 losses on the season. Big Ten championship, check. Top talent like Lauren Betts, who just dominates every single time she's on the court, check. And you got some pretty fantastic defense as well, check. This team looks really, really good. They have a really good shot of making the Final Four. But as we all know, March does not care about regular season success. And ultimately, we will see if UCLA can live up to the hype, because they are the number 1 overall seed and they have the easiest of the number 1 seeds in terms of getting to the Final Four and going from there and making some more noise. And there are some teams that are not very happy about the decision to have UCLA as the number 1 overall seed. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. South Carolina. We go to Don Staley.
My reaction? I'm not in the room, but obviously I think we did much more than probably any other overall number 1 seed. We outdid ourselves even from last year with the amount of quality wins that we had. But I guess the committee was looking at something else.
What thoughts on the draw and the possible matchups?
Whether we were the number 1 overall seed or not, the draw is the draw. We're going to play each game like it's our last, and hopefully that leads us to a place hopefully everybody in this room wants us to be.
So clearly, Don Staley is not happy about the decision from the committee to have South Carolina as, yes, a number 1 seed, but not the number 1 overall seed, and she's not happy about it. Yes, this team has won 30 games this season. They've had a very tough schedule. As we know, South Carolina likes to make some hard schedules, and they made that, right? They lost 3 games this year. One of those losses was to UCLA. They had another loss to Texas, and they lost against UConn. Now, this is one of those things where Don is like, you know what? We don't have a chip on our shoulder. I believe she said it in the ESPN interview. Like, she's like, we don't have a chip on our shoulder. Like, yes, I don't like this, but it is what it is. she also ended up talking about the strength of schedule and how it may seem that South Carolina may be doing something different next season.
Gonna play it. Obviously it's disappointing. It really is. I'd like to get some feedback on how they came to that conclusion, because we put together, you manufactured a schedule that, if done right, it should produce the overall number one seed. But I will say this: we're going to make adjustments to our schedule in the future if the standard is the standard. If that's the standard, then we can play any schedule and get a number one seed.
Now, to me, I think this is a huge L, ultimately, for the game of women's basketball. Here's the deal. We all know that some teams schedule some easier games in non-conference play. South Carolina tends to play tougher competition when it comes to non-conference play because they got a gauntlet in the SEC. And going forward, Dawn is going to reevaluate her strategy in terms of playing tough teams. We may not see a ton of games that are like really tough for South Carolina, right? We're going to see South Carolina doing a little bit more of what LSU does when it comes to like scheduling easier teams that just like you're going to beat and it's not a big deal. We're going to see that, right? We're probably not going to see as many games against a UConn, against a Duke, against an NC State in non-conference play because why? Clearly Don is frustrated about this situation, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Like the committee decides what they want to decide. However, I do think strength of schedule matters, especially in non-conference. And we're going to get to, and to me, this is not even an egregious thing. Like, whatever, South Carolina is not the overall seed. Yes, sure, they're slightly upset about it, but, it is what it is. To me, the more egregious strength of schedule mishap, error for the committee actually comes later. But I wanted to start with, people are just upset. People are upset with the way that the committee has been doing stuff. And we're going to go down the line. Around what this means. Because it's not just South Carolina that's upset. South Carolina is not the only team upset. We also have USC that is upset as well. Here's what Lindsay Gottlieb had to say.
I never thought I'd be a one seed and feel disrespected, but I thought the committee, I thought there would be very little chance we would be the number 4 overall number 1. And so, we've got a big game here on Saturday against UNCG, and we'll handle it accordingly. But you tell me if you think that bracket that we got should have been the one that it was. I can't speak for the players. I think they're excited to play, but this was not on my bingo card to be a little bit, frustrated after being a 1 seed, and it's not, an arrogance of any kind. I think there's a lot of really good teams, and you got to play the first game in front of you and earn your way from there, and that's what we'll do. But sometimes I don't understand people who make decisions in women's basketball and why they do what they do, and certainly with this committee, I would love to ask some questions.
So, Don Staley's not too happy about the way the committee did whatever they did, and Lindsay Gottlieb is not too happy. In both ways, these two teams played, a non-conference game that really bit them both in the behind. Right? South Carolina lost by close to 30 points against UConn at home in a non-conference game. That ultimately was the nail in the coffin that cost them from being the number 1 overall seed. How bad they lost to UConn at home. And then on the other end, we have USC, who lost to Iowa. Yes, USC was not at home. They was at Iowa. Yes, this was the day that that Caitlin's jersey was retired. And yes, there was a lot of, Iowa was on one in that game. But that was a terrible loss for USC. That loss to Iowa from USC is what got USC the fourth number 1 pick, right? And so, yes, Lindsay's mad about it or upset about it, right? I understand that. But sometimes when you schedule these non-conference games, in the back of your mind, you can get got. You absolutely can get got, and we see the results of it. South Carolina lost to UConn in terrible fashion. USC lost to Iowa, not in terrible fashion, but a huge surprise. And then we see what we see. Both, yes, number 1 seed, but they don't like where they're placed because USC has to now go through UConn to get to the Final Four, which is going to be wild. Wild. That's why Lindsay Gottlieb is mad. That's why she's mad. It's because who they have to go through now to ultimately get to where they need to go to. All right. And now, not the only ones who are mad. There is also, some other people who are not very happy about the situation. Okay. Let's talk to Coach Yo.
Well, I guess I'll address the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm shocked with the strength of schedule of a 3 and a net of a 12, and in the last month beating the number 8 and number 7 ranked team in the country. You would think that we would have a chance to host.
So, yeah, I actually really did think that that we would see Ole Miss host. They are not hosting. They are a number 5 seed, I believe, instead of a number 4 seed. So they're not hosting. They're not happy about it. And again, it is what it is, right? The Rebels have had a pretty good season, right? A really good season. They were 6th in the SEC. They went 20 of 10 on the season. And yeah, they had some significant losses, right? They lost to USC. They lost to UConn. Remember, these are 2 really, really good squads. They lost to NC State. Yes, also really good squad that is hosting. They lost to Texas A&M, which was a bad loss. I think that was a huge loss for them. The Bama loss was not that bad of a loss at all. Oklahoma, not a bad loss. Tennessee, not a bad loss. South Carolina, not a bad loss. Texas, not a bad loss. I think the reason why is because they had the bad loss against Texas A&M. Now, truly, I do believe that the Rebels are a good squad that in my bracket, I mean, when I was mocking up who I thought was going to end up hosting and whatnot, I had Ole Miss as a host team. I did. Because I thought that they had some really good games and they should have posted. Because you look at the teams they lost against. It wasn't 20 and 10 is not the same for Ole Miss than it is for a team in the MAC conference or the Big East conference, right? It's not the same. Because if you look at the teams that Ole Miss lost to, they're number 1 seeds, they're number 2 seeds, they're number 3 seeds. Okay? It's wild. It's wild. But it is what it is. I mean, hey, everybody is not going to be happy. It is what it is. Now, do I think all of these coaches have, a complaint? Sure. But it's March Madness, man. You're not going to make 68 teams happy. You're just not. Yes, they're happy to make the dance, but they're unhappy about where they were placed. And, as I say, it is what it is. But to me, the team that has the biggest room to be upset is a team that did not even make the conference. Did not even make the tournament. And I am talking about James Madison. It's gotten to the point where even the competition against JMU is saying man, they should have been a team that ended up making the tournament. Here's what Ball State's head coach had to say about JMU.
I think about James Madison, right, who we played. That's an NCAA team, and they're on the bubble, and everybody, what? And meanwhile, I got an 8-8 AC, SC, whatever team, and their kids don't even want to play anymore. They've been average all year, right? None of those teams would go play James Madison at James Madison. but then they'll walk around and talk about they should be in the tournament because they're in some league. Come on, man. We got to change the narrative. We got to change the narrative. Or how about we make all those teams come play Ball State at Ball State or go play James Madison at James Madison? My phone number's out there. Call me. I'm in. But it doesn't happen, and because why would they? They can go beat the bottom of their league. They can go 500 and call themselves a success. Meanwhile, teams like James Madison and Toledo win 25, 26, 27 games, and everybody's like, oh, pat you on the back, and what?
I mean, he's right, though. While Power 5 teams, and I covered those, and I wanted to structure this stream specifically like this to get to this point. Power 5 teams, sure, they feel like they can have a gripe, right? Sure. You're a number 1 seed, but you're upset that you're not the number 1 overall seed. Or you're a number 1 seed, but you're upset that you're the 4th of the number 1 seeds. And it's like you're upset about that. Or you're a team that made the NCAA tournament, but you're upset that you're not hosting. And yes, you've had some good games. Yes, the losses you've had were not that bad of losses besides one. And I understand that. I understand what's going on that front. And sure, you may have a gripe. But to me, the teams that have the biggest gripes are mid-majors. These Power 5s, they can be upset. They could be upset about where they placed. Absolutely. Sure. Whatever. Be upset. Have a chip on your shoulder, even though Dawn Staley said that they're not having a chip on their shoulder and whatnot, and I get that. But there are some Power 5 teams that are really upset. But what I want to do, I want y'all to put yourselves in the place of some of these mid-majors who did everything they possibly could. They scheduled the hardest non-conference schedule they possibly could. They did. They did everything they could, but ultimately they end up with a conference that is not that great. And regardless of what they did in non-conference, regardless of the strength of schedule, they do not make the NCAA tournament. And those are the people who have the biggest gripe, not the Power 5s that's upset about their little seedings. That's not that important. The thing to me that is the biggest importance are the teams that did not make it, that were right there. They were really good, but did not make it. Let's continue on talking about James Madison, and let's hear from their head coach.
None of these teams, so like Indiana, Nebraska, Oregon, Washington, Princeton, Harvard, Virginia Tech, UNLV, St. Joe's, none of them are getting votes in the AP poll or the coaches poll. None of them. Okay? We have 13 in the AP poll and 7 in the coaches poll. Like, explain that to me. So the nation or the voters, right, respect what we have and what we're doing and the 20 games we won in a row, right? But we're technically behind Washington, who finished 12th in the Big Ten. And again, I got a good friend on Washington, David Atkins, really good guy. His daughter just graduated from here. But that's your choice, right? You're sitting here as a committee, and that's your choice. And they got great wins. They got way more quad 1 wins than we do. Way more. And finished really good. Finished 5 out of 6. So I'm not even picking at them. But like, that's what your choice is. 12th best team in the Big Ten, or a very, very dominant mid-major that had a bad 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever you want to say are bad, maybe 1 minute. I don't know. Right, and I think that says something for, right, part of these selection, observable component. Like people are voting for us.
So that is what James Madison's head coach was saying. And for those who don't know about JMU, they have tried their best to schedule some tough games. And they have. And it just so happens that they lost in some of those games. This is a team that James Madison went 28-5 on the season. They had a stretch where they won 20 straight games in a row. They finished first in the Sun Belt. Unfortunately for them, they had a terrible ending to the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship, where they ended up losing. They ended up losing to Arkansas State. So that's why we see Arkansas State in the NCAA tournament, and we don't see JMU, because JMU, they had a really good game, but it went to overtime and they kind of fell apart from there. So ultimately, that loss in the championship game for JMU cost them an appearance in the NCAA tournament. Now let's go through their record. Again, 20 straight wins in the Sun Belt. They finished first in their conference. So a really good squad. But they've had some losses, right? And in the losses that they had, they've been against top talent, right? This is a team that played Notre Dame, right? They played Notre Dame in South Bend, got killed. They played Northern Arizona in a game that, like, yeah, they shouldn't have lost against Northern Arizona. I'm just saying. They shouldn't have lost. Right? They lost against Texas. They played Texas, and they lost in that game. Pretty substantial. They played NC State at NC State and lost. This is a team that was not afraid to schedule tough games. And so we talk about big games. They scheduled them, right? Texas, NC State, Notre Dame. They lost those games. And they weren't even that close of games. The problem was JMU was unable to schedule some of those weaker Power 5 teams, right? Now, I would have loved to see a JMU versus a, Ole Miss, a Iowa, right? There's some games that I feel like if JMU would have scheduled those as well, not just like the top of the top, not just the top 5 teams, but if they were able to schedule some of the other games against maybe a Princeton or a Harvard or something like that, maybe that could have gotten them into the NCAA tournament. They're a really good squad that killed in conference play. Got killed when they played the top 5 teams in the country. Absolutely. But I do think if they would have just been able to schedule some other games against some of the lesser Power 5 teams, maybe they would have had a chance. But just because JMU wants to schedule a game does not mean that other teams that are in that lower tier Power 5 program, it doesn't mean that they actually schedule those games, right? We talk about strength of schedule. Strength of schedule only matters if teams want to play you, right? If JMU is calling people and saying, hey, you want to play? And these teams are on the bubble. They're like, we think we can make the NCAA tournament, but if we play you, we may lose and we may get out of the NCAA tournament. Like, maybe they don't play them. And so, I think that's one of the hard things about it. And let's continue on with JMU with their strength of schedule.
Our non-conference strength of schedule is 26th in the country, and of all the bubble teams, it's hands down the best strength of schedule of all the bubble teams. Does it? Not even close. Not even close. And I can go through it. You go non-conference strength of schedule. Georgia Tech 163, right? Indiana 52, Nebraska 170, Oregon 92, Iowa 82, Washington 202. Princeton 120, Harvard 201, right? Virginia Tech 151, St. Joe's 200. So, all right. So we have built this tough non-conference schedule, okay? 26th in the country, non-conference strength of schedule. And we have 3 NCAA tournament teams in that schedule. We only had 3 opportunities, right? NC State, Notre Dame, and Texas. Villanova is not an NCAA tournament team this year, right? VCU is not an NCAA tournament team this year. Florida, not an NCAA tournament team this year. Northern Arizona, all good teams, but not NCAA tournament teams. So you're penalizing us for making a really challenging schedule, okay? A really challenging schedule, but you only end up having 3 opportunities, and we're just 0 for 3 against them. Now, Ball State could be the 4th if they end up making the field, and that would be one NCAA tournament team that we beat. And I think that's important to know, right? Like, you're asking us to schedule and create opportunities, but you can't control other people. We can only control what we have. And so I thought we took advantage of most of our opportunities, and losing the 2 games we did in overtime, in single digits, one in the championship and one on a neutral floor, I don't think those are huge bad losses, right? That's one of the things. It's like competitive in losses. Yeah, I think that's competitive in your losses. But
so yeah, that is the thing. JMU is not the only team that felt like they were snubbed. We also have Seton Hall as well, who felt like they were snubbed as well. I didn't pull any clips because I ran out of time. So that was all the clips I have. But Seton Hall is another team that was like right on the bubble, right? They finished 3rd in the Big East. They're a really good squad. They got some quality wins. Like the teams that they've lost against were good teams, right? They lost against Princeton. They lost against USC, right? They lost against LSU. They lost against Creighton. They lost against UConn. Like these are not bad, terrible losses for Seton Hall, but they don't make it because sometimes the conference that you are in matters. Yes, JMU scheduled a tougher non-conference schedule than Iowa. But at the end of the day, JMU is in the Sun Belt. Iowa's in the Big Ten. So Iowa doesn't need to schedule as tough of non-conference games as a JMU because in conference, they're playing NCAA capable teams in the conference. Because again, guys, let's remember, guys, let's remember that the Big Ten had 12 teams in the NCAA conference. I mean, in the NCAA tournament, right? The Big East only had 2. And unfortunately for Seton Hall, they were not one of those 2. For James Madison, there was only one team from the Sun Belt that made it to the NCAA tournament, and that was a team that won the Sun Belt championship, tournament championship. And unfortunately for James Madison, they had a bad couple of minutes and lost in the championship game to Arkansas State. So Arkansas State moves on. James Madison is not happy, but all is not lost for James Madison because they are participating in the WBIT. Okay, they're participating in WBIT and they are the number 1 seed there. So they're gonna hopefully win the WBIT and just prove to everybody that we're all about that. I know y'all don't want to give us no respect and blah 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 blah. It is what it is. It is what it is. If y'all could, please make sure to hit that like button. That really does help the channel out a whole lot. Are y'all enjoying these kind of breakdowns? Every day, we're doing a different topic every single day. As we are in the NCAA tournament time, we're going to be talking about the tournament every single day. I'm going to be giving y'all some clips, some bite-sized pieces about various things that y'all need to know. We're going to walk through some stuff. We're going to slow walk this thing as we get through the tournament. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. I got to give a huge shout out to Coffee Lover. Thank you so much, Coffee Lover, for the super chat. I really do appreciate your financial support of this channel. It really does help out a lot, and it's really awesome. Thank you. This is your 3rd super chat, so I appreciate you. You are awesome. Salute to you, Coffee Lover. I don't drink coffee, but I will. I'll drink a cup of water. I appreciate you, Coffee Lover, though. I really do appreciate your support. Guys, we are doing this every day. We're doing this every day. So I hope y'all continue to rock out with me as we just kind of walk through everything, okay? As we walk through everything. I do want to quickly, before we move on from the NCAA tournament, I do want to just walk through real quick the brackets, just so y'all can get a good understanding of them. And then we're going to move on to Unrivaled. Okay. All right, let's first take a look at Spokane Regional 1, where we have the number 1 overall seed, which is UCLA. I was looking back on my live stream yesterday, and I realized that I was calling all the number 1 seeds number 1 overall. No, UCLA is the only number 1 overall. We have other number 1 seeds, but they're number 1 in their particular regional. We have one number 1 overall, which is UCLA, okay? Which means they have the easiest of all the regionals. Now, it's not a cakewalk. It is not a cakewalk, but it is the easiest path to the Final Four for number 1 seed. So, like, that is UCLA. So, anyway, who are UCLA facing? They're either facing UC San Diego or Southern. We also have Richmond versus Georgia Tech, Ole Miss versus Ball State, Baylor versus Grand Canyon, Florida State versus George Mason, LSU versus San Diego State, Michigan State versus Harvard, NC State versus Vermont. So that is the Spokane Regional 1 list. All right, and for Birmingham Regional 3, we have Texas versus either High Point or William & Mary. The reason why it's like or is because those are the teams that are participating in the first 4 games. And the first 4 games, I thought I had a graphic for it, but maybe I don't. No, looks like I do not have a graphic for it. Bummer. Well, I'll get a graphic later for it. Anyway, Birmingham Regional 3, we have Texas versus either High Point or William & Mary. We have Illinois versus Creighton, Tennessee versus South Florida, Ohio State versus Montana State, Michigan versus either Iowa State or Princeton, Notre Dame versus FSA, Louisville versus Nebraska, TCU versus FDU. All right, Spokane Regional 4, we got Southern Cal versus UNC Greensboro, Cal versus Mississippi State, Kansas State versus Fairfield, Kentucky versus Liberty, Iowa versus Murray State, Oklahoma versus FGCU, Florida Gulf Coast University, Oklahoma State versus South Dakota State, UConn versus Arkansas State. And I am trying to find my other graphic because I'm missing one of the regionals. I think I'm missing regional 2. Where is regional 2? Okay, it looks like I don't have the graphic for regional 2, my bad. My bad. Give me a second, guys. Let me pull that graphic up. Guys, I tell you, I have realized how tough it is to do a daily show. Now I see people do daily shows all the time, and I'm like, oh yeah, that seems hard. But like, y'all, this is actually really hard to like figure out all the graphics I'm gonna need, everything I want to say, like, you know, going over what I want to say or whatever, and making sure it all makes sense and making sure that it's all like placed in the right order and whatnot. Y'all, I'm just like, man, like I got a lot more respect for people who be doing this every single day. That's crazy work. All right, we got regional 2 on here. Okay, and for regional 2, we have South Carolina versus Tennessee Tech. We got Utah versus Indiana. We got Alabama versus Green Bay. Maryland versus Norfolk State. West Virginia versus either Columbia or Washington. We got North Carolina versus Oregon State. Vandy versus Oregon. Duke versus Lehigh. So that is what we have for the NCAA tournament. But the NCAA tournament is not the only thing that's happening right now, guys. Have y'all heard of the WBIT? Have you heard? Well, if you haven't, last year was the first year of the WBIT. It is basically the WNIT. It is the NIT for women. Okay. So there is a thing called the WNIT, and that is actually ran by, that particular thing is actually ran by another organization. All right. It's ran by another organization. And, I think that, the NCAA was like, you know what? We actually want more money in the women's game. So we are going to make a decision to make our own secondary tournament. And it is the WBIT. And we do have the listing of all those teams that are participating in that. I am actually not going to cover the WBIT, but there are a whole bunch of teams that are participating in the WBIT, especially Some of the top teams that did not make the NCAA tournament, they are top seeds in the WBIT. Probably tomorrow, maybe, we will go through. The WBIT. So I just want to acknowledge that is a thing, but we're not going to go through it today. We're also going to go through the WNIT as well, just so y'all know. So there's 3 tournaments, technically, that are happening that feature Division I women's basketball teams. There is the regular NCAA tournament, there is the WBIT, there is the WNIT, and then, of course, we have like the Division II and Division III tournaments that are happening as well. So lots of women's basketball that are happening. I hope y'all are excited about it because I, for one, am very excited. All right, let's continue on. And guys, we have reached the end of our talk around the NCAA. Now we're going to go on to Unrivaled. So guys, let's make the transition. Let's make the transition to Unrivaled. GFB is asking, is Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament? They are not. They are not in the NCAA tournament. They are not. All right. So yeah, that is something to note. But yeah, let's continue on. And let's actually talk specifically around. Let's talk specifically around Unrivaled. So Unrivaled, unfortunately, guys, I was not able to get all the clips. I wanted to get some clips specifically about the games that happened yesterday. I wasn't able to because it was going to take too long. Anyway, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about Unrivaled and what happened yesterday because yesterday we saw an absolute show. Absolute show. The first game was Team Rose versus the Laces. And I'm going to tell you, Angel was out and I was a bit worried about Team Rose. I was like, oh, I know Chelsea Gray is about that life. I know she is that girl. However, Rose, what y'all gonna do down low? What y'all gonna do down low? And yeah, Team Rose, they were like, okay, we got this game. Not a problem. Chelsea Gray got hit in the face, and it was like, hey, no problem. I'ma just adjust my shoulders and start to rock out. And that is exactly what she did. Oh my goodness. With Kalia Copper and Angel Reese out, Team Rose put on an absolute show. Specifically, Chelsea Gray and Nas Hillman put on a show yesterday. Let's talk about it. Chelsea Gray, point guard, whatever you want to call her, she was absolutely fire. When we talk about big bucket players, that is Chelsea Gray. Because, y'all, Team Rose was down. They were down. Nobody was expecting them to come back, right? No one was expecting. Because here's the thing, guys. As that game was happening, I started watching that game, but then I had to go and actually, cover the Selection Sunday stuff. And so I was getting updates, and then I ended up catching up on what happened later, on what I missed. But like, the Laces were getting the job done, right? Early in the game, right? At one point, it was a 13-point lead for the Laces. The Laces were doing their thing. AT was taking over. Tiffany Hayes was doing her big one. And I was looking like, okay, I guess the Laces got it. I guess the Laces got it because they were killing at halftime. And then Chelsea Gray was like, yep, I got this. Nas Hillman was like, yep, I got this. And they got the job done. Y'all, I'm way too hyped for this stuff. I don't understand why, but I'm way too hyped. Anyway, Chelsea Gray, how many points did she go? 39 points. 39 points for Chelsea Gray. She was 15 of 23 from the field. She was someone who was knocking down 3-point shots like they were Tic Tacs. Like she was doing her thing. Doing her thing. And guys, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the show that Chelsea Gray was putting on. All right. And so while Chelsea Gray was scoring up a storm, right? While she was doing her thing, y'all may look at the box score and y'all may be like, oh, Chelsea Gray single-handedly carried this team. Oh, nobody else did anything for Team Rose, because you see the Team Rose scored 63 points, and of that 63 points, Chelsea Gray had 39 of those points. So like she had a lot of the points for this team. But It's more than just the box score. I feel like I'm a broken record. I feel like I've said that a lot of times. I'm going to keep saying it. The performance of individuals on a team is more than what the box score says. Just because the box score says that one player scored all the points does not mean that one player did it all by themselves. Didn't mean that other players did not step up, because we saw Nas freaking Hillman. Nas Hillman, I feel like she was signed a while ago as a relief player, but she hadn't played a game for Unrivaled, and she came in this game today with a brand new team in Team Rose. The reason why she joined is because Angel's out. So, like, they had to put a relief player in. So, Nas Hillman comes in the game, plays 16 minutes, plays some fantastic defense, and ultimately is one of the players who helped to stop Alyssa Thomas. Alyssa Thomas was starting to cook in this game, right? And she did score. Like, AT did her thing, right? She, her point forward thing, right? She did score 20 points for her, but Alyssa Thomas could have had 30 plus points in this game. Who helped to stop her? Nas Hillman. Nas Hillman came in, 16 minutes in this game? She played 16 minutes in this game, and she did a little bit of everything. She scored some. She played some really good defense. She was somebody who was getting her teammates. She was someone who was like not doing anything stupid, right? No turnovers. And she was just doing all the little things that make you a successful player. Nas Hillman did it. And I'm just like, man, okay, Nas Hillman. Okay, here's the thing. There's so many people who don't know who Nas Hillman is. If y'all don't know, she plays for the Atlanta Dream in the WNBA. She's a good player, but she don't get that much attention. And to be honest with you guys, I think a significant amount of people who watched Unrivaled yesterday did not actually know who Nas Hillman was. And yesterday, she was like, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Nas. Into the AZ. Sometimes, man, I'm so lame, it's hilarious. My name is Nas. Into the AZ. Anyway, but Nas Hillman, she was on her big one yesterday. Defense wins championships. And that defense is the reason why we saw Chelsea Gray be able to cook as much as she was, because the rest of her team had her back. And I loved it. I absolutely love it. What up? Y'all know. You know I'm not cool. I'm pretty lame, but it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. It is pretty funny. Anyway, Team Rose got the job done, and I don't want to make it seem like it was just Chelsea Gray and Nas Hillman. It wasn't. Azurá Stevens got some good buckets in, almost with a double for her. 11 rebounds, 8 points. Brittany Sykes did her thing, 6 points for her. Lexi Hull didn't play that much, didn't really score that much, but was there. Natisha Heidemann barely played, so that was that. But I just find it wild that this Team Rose is making it to the championship with 3 players on their original roster. Because 4 players on their original roster, right? Nas Hillman is a relief player. Natisha Heidemann is a relief player, right? Wild. And we move on to the other game, which was the Lunar Owls. They got. I couldn't believe it, guys. I could not believe it. The Lunar Owls, the team that been bragging, the team that been saying, hey, we've been carrying this league. We've been doing all this stuff for this league. We made the rest of y'all step up y'all game and all this other stuff. All this stuff that the Lunar Owls was talking. All this stuff. Well, you gone now. Looks like you're gone now. You are gone now because anybody and everybody can and will get got. And yesterday, Team Vinyl had the Lunar Owls number. They had it. And Skylar Diggins-Smith, man, come on, girl. You had a terrible. You didn't have a great game. You didn't. You know, your team is a good squad, fantastic squad. However, W Brazil, you're carrying your luggage back home because the Lunar Owls just lost. All that confidence, all that stuff. See, that's the thing. Like that's why I love sports because you can get got. Clearly, everybody knew that the Lunar Owls was the best team with the best player. But talk about players who show up at the right moment. And when we talk about Team Vinyl, what we talking about? We talking about a team that is peaking at the right time. Ryan Howard goes off. Jordan Canada goes off. Like some of Jordan Canada. I saw a clip. I gotta maybe in post I'll put it in. But Jordan Canada. Some of the buckets that she was making, I was like, okay, let me sit down and watch you because that was really nice. That was really nice, right? 23 points for Ryan Howard, bucket after bucket after bucket. Jordan Canada, bucket after bucket after bucket, and De'Erica Hamby, who scored the game-winning shot. And here's the deal. They talked to Amaya after the game was over, and Amaya was basically like, she said something like if she about the win over Nafisa, and I think she was like, if I look at her, then she's gonna win or something like that. I'll find the clip, but I just thought it was so adorable. I thought it was very adorable. But like, you had the Atlanta Dream to LA Sparks connection. Jordan Canada was making everybody be like, "Oh Canada, Jordan, you are so awesome." Like truly, like it was fantastic. Jordan freaking Canada. Making some noise. You had Ryan Howard, who just continues to be on her big one. I told y'all that this season for Unrivaled has gotten some people to stand up and finally, acknowledge the talent that she is, right? And Jordan Canada, to be honest with you, I didn't expect Jordan Canada to do what she did. I didn't, to be honest with you. I didn't at all. But she was on her big one. Sometimes all it takes is just one game. One game where you show up, you show out, and the other team doesn't. And you see what you get. The Lunar Owls, of course, as always, they're carried by Nafisa Collier, who initially, I didn't even think Nafisa was going to play because she was on the questionable list, right? She was on a questionable list. But she dominated in this game. 36 points, 16 of 24, right? 8 rebounds in total, She was doing everything she possibly could for her team. But you needed more from everybody else. You needed more. Skylar, where were you? Alicia Gray, where were you when it was really on the line? Shakira Austin. Like the Lunar Owls is a really good squad, but the thing that was so great about the Lunar Owls is they absolutely had Nafisa Collier, but they also would have Alicia Gray and Skylar play some huge minutes and be on their big one. Yesterday, not so much. They took a back seat. They did not play like a first team or a second team player in the league yesterday. They didn't, and that's why the Lunar Owls get got. Because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It doesn't matter what you did in the regular season. All that matters is the here and now. Win or go home. And the Lunar Owls are going home. Just like the Laces. And we have, in the finals, a matchup that I was not expecting. I did not have this on my board. Maybe you did. Maybe you didn't. I don't know. But we have Team Rose versus Team Vinyl. Wild, wild, wild. I'm excited about it, guys. The finals is happening tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. And unfortunately, guys, I do have a prior commitment, so I cannot actually do a live stream of that game. I wanted to do a live stream of that game, but I can't. I'll watch it after the fact and then have a recap for y'all tomorrow morning. But no live stream tonight. No live stream tonight for that game. All right. Guys, that is the stream. I do want to say thank you so much for rocking with me. I know I started a little bit later than I intended to because I was trying to get the video clips all together and a whole bunch of last minute stuff I was trying to get done. But I appreciate y'all so much for your patience. I am trying to do this every day at 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern Time, 7:15 Central Time. So join me every morning. I will try my best never to be late again, but today, unfortunately, I just couldn't help it. I had to be late to even get this stuff happening. So, thank you so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, make sure to hit that like button on y'all way out. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend that Quita is on the internet every single morning, telling y'all everything y'all need to know about what's going on in the world of women's basketball. Of course, there's lots more to talk about when it comes to the NCAA tournament. There's a lot more to talk about when it comes to Unrivaled, when it comes to just WBIT, the WNBA, lots of stuff to talk about, lots of stuff, and we will get to it every single morning. We'll cover a couple topics every day. So yeah, send this to someone and let them know that we are on the internet. And guys, tomorrow I'll actually cover, one thing I wanted to cover today, but I'm out of time, is Asia Wilson, who had this huge pop-up yesterday for her shoe in South Carolina, and that was huge. I saw photos and videos about it. I was like, wow. As a pretty big pop-up. And her shoes are seemingly selling like hotcakes, which is kind of cool. And so I'll probably talk about it tomorrow about that specifically. But anyway, y'all have a great day. Be productive. Today is Monday, which means that the entire week is upon you. Be productive, be successful, get your job done, get your homework done. Whatever you are tasked with doing this week, do it to the best of your abilities, guys. We only have one life to live, so you might as well live your life right. Guys, y'all have a great day. Y'all, I will talk to y'all tomorrow. I talked about Natasha Cloud yesterday. I was trying to get to talk to her. I talked about her yesterday in my stream. I wanted to talk about it in more detail today. However, I am out of time because I have to go to work. So unfortunately for me, because I started late, I now have to scrap that section. I was going to talk about Natasha Cloud, but I cannot anymore. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Be kind to someone. Tell somebody that they matter because they absolutely do. And if no one has told you, let me tell you, you matter, you are important, and I'm happy that you are on this earth. Guys, I love you. This has been Quita in the mornings because my name is Quita and I'm in the mornings. Y'all have a great day and be productive. Good morning. Y'all have a good one. Till next time, guys. Bye-bye.